into some kind of a very, very special form of meditation. And before I call upon the stage the most venerable, our 𝐶𝐚𝐲 Lama Rinpoche, and I would like to announce this. You see these posters, two posters, and we have three banners here. And our most venerable 𝐶𝐚𝐲 Lama Rinpoche has turned on the airdrop. He has left this, it's floating in the airdrop. Now, if your iPhones are ready, just pick it up, grab it, and get it ready for yourself. So later on, we'll be chanting together, and then continue with the meditation practice. Now, just before, first of all, let me request 𝐶𝐚𝐲 Lama Rinpoche to come on stage. Because all of our guided meditation masters, when they got onto the stage, they were doing prostrations. Some of you may be wondering. And if you're not wondering, okay. If you're wondering, I will tell you, it is to symbolize absence of arrogance. Now, His most venerable 𝐶𝐴 Lama Rinpoche. 𝐶𝐴 Lama Rinpoche. 𝐶𝐴 means the king of the Dharma. And this title has been awarded to him recently by 𝐺𝑒 Rinpoche, very, very highly accomplished master based in Sikkim. And this is a title conferred upon him in recognition of his amazing spiritual journey he has come across until now. And first of all, as the groundwork, you need to go to the monastery, study how to read and write, and then following that, you need to master the monastic activities. Then you have to receive the teachings about philosophical teachings of the Buddha. And then that philosophical study of the Buddha's teaching is actually just the theory. Just for example, myself, I also receive philosophical teachings, and I'm good to some extent. I can, speak like a parrot. And then I have no practice. But the difference with the most venerable here is he has put these all philosophical values into practice. So in modern day, we have something called as like academicians, right? And then in the traditional scenario, we have indigenous Buddhist scholars. The indigenous Buddhist scholars are always complemented by application of the philosophical understanding into practice. Then otherwise, we always see this is a waste of time. Even if you become an expert Buddhist philosopher, it's a waste of time if you cannot put that and apply in your mind stream. So this is what most venerable 𝐶𝐴 Lama Rinpoche has done that. And then, having accomplished his all monastic career through intensive retreat, while traveling across Tibet, all over the Himalayan regions, he has traveled all over and studied under many masters. And particularly what he did for Bhutan is he actually built the second Milarepa's Sekhar Gutok, the 9-tiered temple ever built first temple that was ever built was Milarepa. And then we have a Milarepa of our time. And this is no other than our 𝐶𝐴 Lama here. So this is 𝐶𝐴 Lama as the original Milarepa, and then our times Milarepa is here. And this is a magnificent temple, like the quality, everything must be far, far better than what Milarepa did it. His one is amazing. And I don't want to take more time. Just, I think this is enough. And 𝐶𝐚𝐲 Lama is a fabulous and a very, very fond and avid fan of Milarepa himself. And then he thinks about Milarepa, he speaks about Milarepa, and talks to others, and shares, and lives, and even eats Milarepa, dreams Milarepa, and does everything at Milarepa. So we have a wonderful master here, and let's dive in through this guided meditation. Your most Venerable 𝐶𝐲 Lama Rinpoche, I now request you to grant us the meditation guide. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You blessed me so much. I don't know this is true or not. Anyway, good Sangpo and good afternoon to everyone. Actually, my English is very poor than poor, but in order to save the time, so this is why I'm using my poor English. So today my topic or subject, not much than the previously eminence, venerable. So topic on this meditation, especially in my dear Guru Kalu Rinpoche. I request him to attend my topic, but he insists to come here. So this is Kalu Rinpoche is very one of my close teacher in the previous Kalu Rinpoche and this Kalu Rinpoche. So also I gratitude to Dr. Karma. He requested to do this Vajrayana conference, what we call is Science, Mindfulness and Meditation, the conference. So today my topic is when I received the request by the Dr. Gama, then I have to attend this speaker in this Vajrayana conference. So when I, through my brother, received this message, then I'm very, very wondering what I have to say. But I looked some other texts, so then I found the what called quiet site of the Milarepa's, the realization of the Bhajan song, what very well known is called 100,000 Bhajan songs. But afterwards, I just quite in the site. Then I search in which is the written by the bone ornament of the Heruka by him. I searched. I didn't find. But then after that, then I searched in the third Kamapa, which is called the Black Treasurer of the biography of the Milarepas. But in that particular text, I found it similar, but I think it's like this. Anyway, this is the afterwards we chanting. This I think my topic one is I think the last one. So other ones just as for your reference. So then I want to humbly request to you, don't expectation too much for me. If you have expectation, then you have disappointed. If without your expectation, whatever I presentation, then you will be okay, because he already announced his not expectation. Then I have some advantage. So because of you don't have any expectation. So first, before we go through, I like to our what call or system or traditional. First, we have to prayer or supplication prayer to Guru. Why I chose this way of this meditation? Because this very much match with our conference, because conference is the Vajrayana conference. So, according to the Vajrayana tradition, if one practitioner, it has to realization, but this is not something you want, you can get. I think not, because we have to some rely on someone. So no matter Sutrayana or Tantrayana, we must have one guiding. This is what Guru means, is our guiding. So this way I first with supplication prayer, but very simple, and the one sentence, everyone can follow me and participate. So this supplication prayer is Milareva's. Everyone know Milareva's. Known is well known of everyone. Well known of the Milareva. Milareva is a very authentic. The practitioner of meditation is within one life. His enlightenment. So even the communists also there agree Milareva is a really practitioner. Even Chairman Mao also he believe Milareva. If practitioner Buddhist is really one is about the Milareva. So why not we believe him as a really enlightened beings. So then today we are chanting this. I don't want to explain too much because I have to say I don't know how much I have time. So first, this chanting is the secret name of the Milarepa, which is he received from his own guru, the Lama Marpa. He received the empowerment of the Chaktasambhara empowerment. Then that time, Lama Marpa gave him the secret name. At the same time, also because appear of the mandala of the Chaktasambhara. So and the deities and guru together name it. His name is Mila Shebadorji. In Sanskrit, maybe Hasar Bajra. So this is which we are going to chant is the supplication prayer to the Milareva. And no matter you are on your crown or in front of you, so first we have to his embodiment of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, three roots, combined in all together into the Milareva. Then we first we have to refuge to him. Then we have the generating our what we call proper motivation or bodhicitta. Then we what I said. Then we pray. This in our Mahamudra tradition. Who has, if best devotion, then you can get best the meditation. Who has middle devotion to your guru, then middle the accomplishment of your meditation. So then if you did lost one and fed to you or devotion to your guru, then only your lower the result of the meditation. So this way, try our best to then pray to Lord Milarepa, and then I welcome to everyone together. 젬멜라 셰반 도르젤라 소완데소 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 젬멜라 셰반 도르젤라 소완데소. Now we are that Lord Milarepa, dissolved into the light through your crown in your heart level, then mix with your mind and Milarepa's mind inseparable. Then we rest on this stage for a while. Okay, so this only for demonstrating. Now my demonstration is finished. Now my topic. Okay, I try to reading this sentence. Folding in the meditation without distraction. That's the first line. Then the second line is the sign of the meditation has liberated itself. Thus, is this confidence of the yogi again through the meditation. So this three line, I have little bit doubt because maybe incomplete sentence. Normally, Siloka is 4 lines, but here only 3 lines. But even first line, I have also have no doubt because this maybe miss one word. I don't know what word. But similarly, I found that the third Kamma's biography, but a little different meaning, but more or less similar. But anyway, I first found this one. Okay, my ear is now, I have to recharge for my earring. Sorry. So I also try to read the Tibetan. This means we have to, our mind has to be without any distraction, or we Uh, okay, doesn't work. Sorry, this is my obstacle of my topic. Sorry for all of you. Because Kembo asked me to, soon as possible, first fast as possible, because he said today we have another function, the Queen Mother's function. So, but my topic is very little things. So our mind, this is what Milarepa said, that we has to be, our mind is without any destruction or not, and without, free from any kind of our thoughts. Then we have this kind of condition. Then we have, sooner or later we have sign. But sign have sometimes good sign, sometimes bad sign. But the most important is we without any attachment. If once we attachment, then it's not free. Means we struggle and something else. So this way we have to, when Milarepa, he trained his disciple, Lord Gampopa, when his meditation, then he had many kind of signs. So when he reported his guru, okay, this is no bad, no good, just let it go. So whatever we have sign, then we have let it go, then gradually the liberate itself. So if we want something we want to, grasping. If we have grasping on the meditation, also no good. So we have to, without grasping, without any kind of idea. So we have to, meditation means we have to all free from all kind of thoughts. So this is the meditation way. So then Milarepa said, he is the yogi, so he said, this is my confidence of this meditation. So that is the simple way to present to you. So now I think the time comes up. So anyway, then today I'm able to, the multi-nation, multi-religions, then the meeting each other is my great honor too. So thank you, Tashidele.
Institute. Rangju Institute. Yeah.
Hello. 𝐶𝐸𝐿, you're requested to come to the podium. 𝐶𝐸𝐿, please come to the podium right now. Respected speakers, distinguished guests, and dear participants, good afternoon and warm welcome to all of you. My name is Purpalamo, and I'm a researcher at the Center for Bhutan and Jain Studies. It is a great pleasure and honor to be with you all today. I now have the privilege of introducing the chair of the session, Liang Wang. Liang Wang is an experienced urban planner and designer with a PhD in urban planning from Xi'an University of Architecture and Technology. Her research, supervised by Professor Liu and Tashukar Maura, focused on developing an urban planning evaluation system based on a happiness index. She also holds a master's degree in architecture and urban design from the University of Nottingham, where she studied sustainable urban forms and transportation. Liang has worked on diverse planning and design projects across China and internationally. She now leads her own design studio and cultural tourism company. Her current work centers on rural revitalization using sustainable design and community-driven culture projects to support the renewal and growth of rural areas. Please join me in warmly welcoming the chair of the session, Liang Wang.
Hello, it's my honor to be the chairman for this section, and it is my 5th time in Bhutan and 3rd time for the conference. And let's introduce our first guest, Paul Mansu. And Mr. Paul Mansu is a PhD candidate from the Center of Buddhist Studies, University of Hong Kong. His current research focuses on the penitential practice of Chinese Buddhism, particularly how masters of the Tiantan school from the 7th to 11th centuries interpreted this practice. He examined how they composed ritual manners and texts that addressed the secular needs of their contemporaries while maintaining aligned with the Tiantan doctrines, as well as the influence of these manners on later periods. His interests also include various meditative techniques and instructions taught by Tiantan masters and how these were integrated into the penitential system to guide practitioners toward different levels of realization. So let's welcome 𝐶𝐾𝐚𝐲, please.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Sam. I'm from Center of Buddhist Studies, University of Hong Kong. And today I'm going to present this topic, 同盟止观, the beginner's guide to sitting meditation. In this study, I'm going to introduce the 25 preparatory means for sitting meditation mentioned in the TM and investigate the application of them, and also discuss the generalizabilities of these 25 means. 同盟止观 is a short text composed by Master 𝐺𝐸 of Chinese Tiantai School. It provides structured method that guides practitioners, especially beginners, to meditate. It has 10 chapters covering first the 25 preparatory means, ways to identify and manage political and potential physical and psychological reactions during practice, and also discuss progressive different stages of realization. So these 25 preparatory means are recorded in the first 5 chapters of the TM, and let's go through them one by one. Oh, sorry. Yep. The first category is possessing the 5 conditions, which also further has 5 subcategories. Among them, the first and the last elements are emphasized by the author. So about the precepts, upholding the precepts serves as ethical foundation of practice for almost all practice. It is based on the theory of threefold training. Also, the author also offers the solutions for one who breaks the precepts, which is cultivating the repentance. And also seeking for spiritual friends before sitting meditation. Second, renouncing the 5 types of sensuous desires. They are this craving, attachment towards the sensuous object. For the solution, the author suggests that one should not expose to any sensuous object that might trigger your attachment. And on the other hand, keep reconsidering thinking about the unwholesome result after attaching to them. The third third category, abandoning the 5 types of obstacle. They are the mental obstacles arise from craving that root in the past and projected into the future. For the next category, regulating the 5 methods. These 5 methods include diet and sleep that to be regulated before sitting meditation, and body, breathing, and the mind should be adjusted during sitting meditation. For the following slides, I'm going to share the detailed instruction for these 3 adjustments. And if you find this helpful, I please feel free to take photos. And also, I'm not going to read out every item. First, regulating the body at the beginning of section, meditative section. Master GE suggested 9 points to be achieved. For example, cross-legged hand gesture, sit upright, with closed eyes and mouth, and sit still, most importantly. Then regarding regulating the breathing at the beginning of the section, one should first exhale with the mouth and also then inhale with the nose. And repeat these 2 steps for several times once the balance is achieved. Then during the sitting practice, one should both inhale and exhale with the nose after regulating at the very first beginning. For regulating the mind at the beginning, Master GE offers solutions for situations that might happen. For example, to address first 2 states of mind, one should focus on specific part of the body. For regulating these 3 matters in the middle of section or when abiding in concentration, one should remain aware of and actively assess whether any of these 3 elements has been unsettled. If so, just using the corresponding method mentioned in the previous slides to address them. It is important to understand that these regulations or methods are not any sequential practice, but a solution for particular and specific situations that might happen during the section. Okay, when it is about to end the sitting section, Master GE suggests a sequential method for it. For example, one is suggest to relax the mind first, and then forcefully exhale, and then gently rub and warm the body before standing up. The rationale behind this procedure is for preventing the disruption of subtle energies, because as a sudden end and sudden return to a non-sitting position, posture, would trap the energy that further influence the subsequent practice. Then the last category of 25 means possessing the 5 mental qualities. These qualities reinforce and penetrate the practice of the preceding almost all the practice of 20 means. Okay, as a concluding remarks about the introduction to these 25 preparatory means, the first 15 means are about the ethical foundation and about mental and environmental stability necessary for subsequent practice. Regulating the 5 methods concerns the cultivation of sustained activity, and also possessing the 5 mental qualities emphasize the practitioner's mentality. As a clarifications, these 25 means are not sequential or gradual stages of training, but being cultivated together as a part of holistic development. Same as the relationship between this practicing these 25 means and sitting meditation. They are reciprocal relationship. This is the second part of my presentation regarding the application of these 25 means and the relationship between them and penitential rituals, and how they are actualized and practiced through the penitential rituals. Also, I argue that in the penitential ritual, before the confessional and sitting sections, other ritual steps have already include contemplative elements, for example, visualizations and doctrinal reflections, that and then could be understood as a form of ritualized meditation, just not in the manner of sitting. On the left side, I list out 10 steps for the penitential ritual, the ritual step. We can see that the first 2 steps are about preparation. The middle steps are about invocation, confession, and doctrinal reflection. And the last step, sitting meditation. Then I'm trying to connecting the penitential ritual procedure and the 25 means. So those highlighted in yellow, I would refer to step 1 and 2 of the ritual procedure, because penitential ritual is a retreat-based practice, so you need to have such quality and then before entering to that retreat. One of the interesting things is seeking good spiritual friends, because practicing this ritual or repentance needs to have a teacher. You need to learn the theory before practicing that. And those written in red on the right, upholding the precepts and abandoning obstacles and sensuous desires, are related to the seventh step, confession and repentance. And also, the last step of the ritual, sitting meditation, is related to the regulations of body, breathing, and the mind. So this is the third part of my presentation regarding the generalizability of these 25 preparatory means. Unfortunately, they are rarely taught by other schools explicitly as a package, but rather as a basic teachings or fundamental qualities separately. However, among them, 3 regulations alone appears to be highly generalizable to the sitting meditations, sitting practice of other schools. For example, the Chinese Chan school. Because these 3 regulations align with the unchanging physiological and energetic structures of the human body, like the 3 energy channels and same organs and same chakras. So they are highly generalizable. For one who doesn't know Zen, this word, Chan, this word, Zen is the Japanese transliteration of the Chinese word Chan. So Chan is more original and used in the Chinese cortex. Although different schools might have different ways to handle and adjust the mind during the sitting section, for example, contemplative objects and how to deal with the scattered thought, the first 2 adjustments, regulating the body and the breathing, are physiologically determined and thus shared universally. For example, a proper bodily position facilitates the smooth circulation of energy and blood, and a correct way to breathe supports physical stability and mental clarity. Thus, at least the 10-time framework of 3 adjustments can be viewed not only as a 10-time exclusive teaching or practice, but can be seen as an essence of fundamental principles embedded in the shared human experience of meditation. Now, I would like to share a video. I'm not going to play it. Just if you're interested, just scan the QR code and enjoy it after the section. This video is about a Chan master, Wan Xing. He is teaching about the 3 regulations. In this video, Master Wan Xing provides physiological and psychological rationales behind each adjustment and movement, supplementing what the original text lacks. For example, he supplements, why do we need to align the nose with the navel? Or why do we need to forcefully exhale at the beginning of the practice? With the additional explanations, his demonstration clearly shows us the way to actualize and practice what Buddhist master taught in the past. Besides, with the lineage affiliation, Master Wan Xing also shares his Chan way of regulating the mind in this video. So again, take a photo and scan the QR code and get the video and enjoy it after the section. As a conclusion, in this presentation, I introduced the 25 preparatory means for sitting meditation mentioned in the Tongmeng Zhiguan, and I also investigate the application of these 25 means in the context of penitential rituals of Tentai school. Also, I discussed the generalizability of them, and I hope this helps and brings you some insight about how to do the sitting meditation. Thank you.
Thanks for Mr. Paul Mansio's presentation and a very specific guide. And let's welcome our next guest, 𝐃𝐚𝐲 𝐓𝐡𝐫𝐞𝐞. 𝐃𝐚𝐲 𝐓𝐡𝐫𝐞𝐞 is a Bhutanese Buddhist translator and oral interpreter, holds an MA in translation, textual interpretation, and philology from the 𝐁𝐡𝐮, I hope pronounced right, Institute, conferred in 2024. Over a span of 6 years, she completes the MA preparatory program. The translator training program, the MA in TTIP at RYI, receiving extensive training, especially in classical Tibetan language, Buddhist philosophy, and academic translation methodologies. Her MA essay is entitled The Collaborative Nature of Tamar Revelation, the roles of Kadaks in the life of Tatung Pagel Limha. As part of this research, he produced a non-native English translations of the autobiographies of Paya Limpa and Yoga Lama Najupa. Kama Hazum currently works as a freelance oral interpreter and translator, offering his service to Bhutanese and Tibetan lamas. She's presently preparing to purchase doctoral studies with a focus on Tatungs and Tamar traditions in Bhutan. So let's welcome her.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will be speaking mainly from the context of Bhutan as a Bhutanese, but I hope my presentation will be helpful, and I hope everyone here gains something out of it. So in today's modern world, mindfulness has adapted as a useful tool for reducing stress and improving emotional well-being. One of the most well-known examples is Jon Kabat-Zinn's Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program, or MBSR, which teaches people to stay present and observe their experience without judgment. Likewise, programs like Search Inside Yourself have made mindfulness even more accessible by offering short, beginner-friendly techniques. When practiced regularly, mindfulness has led to greater emotional strength, mental clarity, and inner stability. And indeed, this mindfulness practice is rooted in Buddhist, in spiritual tradition, including Buddhism, and especially in Vajrayana tradition. So since Bhutan is a Vajrayana country, this presentation calls for reintegration of mindfulness in Bhutan through formal education in Buddhist principles and as well as accurate translation of Buddhist concepts. This is to reconnect ritual, symbolism, art with its transformative purpose in Bhutan. And this, in turn, will help preserve our spiritual heritage. So first, I will explore the roots of mindfulness from Buddhist perspective. Then I will highlight the contribution of Bhutanese yogis who have preserved and practiced this contemplative tradition over generations. Next, I will examine challenges that Bhutan faces in staying connected with these roots amid rapid modernization. Finally, I will discuss why preserving Bhutan's contemplative heritage is essential, not only for representing nation authentically on the world stage, but also for generating true, long-lasting inner transformation. Okay, so first let us look at what is sati. So actually, mindfulness is English translation of the term sati. And this sati is a Pali term, and in Pali, it literally means recollecting or remembering. However, to impose this literal meaning to this term sati in the context of meditation is misleading, because as Bhikkhu Bodhi mentions, the term sati or its meaning depends on the functional role in meditation and lived experience. Likewise, Bhikkhu Analayo says sati is not a recollection or remembering, but instead it's a quality that enhances memory. Likewise, Schulman says It's instead of recollection or remembering, it's a pre-collection, a dynamic process where past teachings inform present experience. So this sati, the practice of mindfulness, as translated in English, it's extensively explained in the early Buddhist sutras called Satipatthana Sutra, as well as Anapanasati Sutra. So I encourage you all to look at those sutras for more detailed explanation. So here in Satipatthana Sutra, it talks about the mindfulness based on 4, the body, feeling, mind, and mental objects. And in Satipatthana Sutra, it's also mentioned, it kind of says that when we practice mindfulness, we do not have to focus exclusively on a single object, but rather, one primary object can remain central while others present in the background or peripheral awareness. So for instance, if central object is breathing, then arising of thoughts, bodily sensation can be in the back of the mind. So having looked at the sati from early Buddhist tradition, let us look at mindfulness in Mahamudra and Dzogchen tradition. So here then the mindfulness is non-conceptual mode of awareness. This non-conceptuality refers to a vivid, clear, and non-judgmental awareness that is free from discursive thoughts. However, John Doon notes that while Mahamudra mindfulness is effortless, open awareness, transcending ethical discernment, it does not arise in vacuum. It is embedded within a rigorous structure of preliminary practices, which we call ngondro, ethical discipline, and philosophical study. So this non-dual mindfulness is the aim. It's the culmination of the practice. In other words, it itself is the Mahamudra. So now let's look at mindfulness rooted in Bhutan, in yogic tradition. So there are many, many great yogis in Bhutan, and one of the yogis is Lama Nelcherpa, and he lived in eastern Bhutan. So he emphasized Mahamudra-style shamatha, a practice that begins with using various objects as support for meditation, and gradually progresses to signless shamatha, where the mind itself becomes the focus. This form of meditation involves simply resting in awareness, observing the mind without clinging to any particular object. In simpler terms, developing stability in shamatha means being able to cultivate a steady and effortless mindfulness that naturally carries over in all actions. Practices supported by this kind of mental stability or unwavering mindfulness gained through shamatha tend to progress much more effectively and faster than those practices done without it. That's why he emphasized to his students the importance to achieve shamatha and encouraged them to stay in retreat for months. And Lama Nelcherpa, especially for beginners who are a little bit confused how to start practicing, he would often say that even if one wasn't sure what specific practice to undertake, simply reading or reciting a text with mindful attention to the meaning of each word was itself a powerful form of mindful practice. So even today, there are strong lineage holders of these practices. And interestingly, the essence of this practice is being appreciated outside of Bhutan, especially in the West, more often than in Bhutan itself. Many students from around the world are now receiving teachings directly from these Bhutanese lineage holders, and they deeply value these teachings and finding them very transformative. Of course, the context differs. What feels precious and rare to someone from abroad may be so close and familiar to us that we risk overlooking its value. However, since Bhutan promotes gross national happiness and places great importance on preservation of the heritage, it is important for us as a Bhutanese to recognize, acknowledge, and preserve this living wisdom. It is a jewel that we must not forget lies beneath our very feet. Having touched on this precious jewel that we have, now I would like to turn your focus to some of the challenges we face today in Bhutan, not only in Bhutan, but across Himalayan region. So these 3 points overlap with each other. The first one is a growing disconnect between rituals and symbols and their intended transformative meaning. Greater emphasis on preserving the artistic and external aspect of Buddhism, while inner values aren't paid enough attention. Then superficial explanation and use of inaccurate terminology when presenting Bhutan's spiritual heritage to foreigners and tourists. Well, rituals are central to Bhutanese Buddhist culture, but their true power lies in personal connection and relating them to our own experience and to reshape our thinking. And as Bhutanese attract many people around the world for soteriological purposes, as well as tourists who are intrigued by our rich culture, it is important for Bhutanese to explain Buddhist concepts with clarity, care, and accuracy. Therefore, we must be mindful in avoiding terms that can misinterpret the idea. I want to give a few examples, the terms that we must avoid when translating Buddhist concepts. First of one is God. So, Sangye, Buddha is not a god. In Buddhism, there's no so-called creator, one agent, independent. So that's why when we say Sangye, just say Buddha or awakened one. And for the deity, we can say, for the Yidam, we can say deity, but not God. Then next one is for Chiwa Mepa. We often hear it translated as eternity. But again, this is mistranslation because Buddhists reject this idea of two extremes, eternalism and nihilism. So that's why if we say eternity, then that goes against its philosophy. So rather, Chime has this connotation of beyond arising and ceasing, like timelessness. So maybe non-death, or maybe there are even better translations out there, but not eternity. Then for Gupa and Gudu, I often hear it translated as worship. Again, I think worship has a strong connotation of Christianity, and it doesn't translate this term accurately. So I would prefer paying homage or expressing devotion, reverence, and so on. So these are the few suggestions, the path to address the problem. How about using contemporary modes of learning on the traditional wisdom? In Bhutan, proper education in school on the Buddhist principles must be undertaken in an academic style of learning. Example, studying 4 seals of Dharma in the school in an academic style. Then, however, we should not think of it as a doctrinal imposition, but as a vital foundation for Bhutanese to understand their own cultural and historical roots. Then providing proper training in key Buddhist concepts and terminology to those who serve as mediators of Bhutan's spiritual heritage, such as tour guides and etc. So now my conclusion. Mindfulness is now popular for dealing with modern problems, but it originally also comes from early Buddhist tradition. Then this mindfulness from early Buddhist tradition went through some modification in the tradition like Mahamudra, where the highest form of mindfulness means non-dual, and it is related to seeing our own nature of mind. Bhutan, as a Vajrayana country, holds a unique position where mindfulness is already interwoven into our daily lives. Arts, symbols, presence of lineage holders, presence of yogis continually serve as reminders of mindful awareness. For Bhutanese, mindfulness should not be just a technique, it should be a way of life. Mindfulness practices such as counting breath, visualization, present moment awareness, etc., that are taught from early Buddhist sutras, later tradition, modern secular mindfulness practices. Whatever practices you do, it can bring a long-lasting mental well-being when practiced within the framework of Buddhist ethics and principles. Without this grounding in the Buddhist ethics and principle, I feel the terms like compassion, bodhicitta, emptiness, etc., risk becoming superficial and cliché. So as Bhutan continues to engage globally through tourism, education, and digital platform, it has a growing responsibility to represent its spiritual heritage with clarity and authenticity. This requires equipping tour guides, educators, and communicators with accurate and nuanced translations of key Buddhist concepts. To bridge the gap between outward ritual and inner experience, foundational teachings such as the 4 seals of Dharma, 3 turnings of wheel, 3 vehicles, etc., should be studied in a serious academic manner within the education system. By integrating traditional wisdom with contemporary modes of learning, Bhutan is well positioned to offer compelling models of how ancient contemplative practices can be authentically preserved while remaining responsive to the needs and challenges of modern society. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamar, for your presentation. So we are a bit out of time, so maybe we got time for just 2 questions. So anybody got any question about these 2 guests? No? No? If there's no question, so we can move to the next section. Okay.
Thank you, everyone. That's the end of the session. There will be no tea break, so we'll continue with the next session now.
Oh, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, I am Priya Rai from Center for Bhutan and GNS Studies. It is a great privilege to introduce a statesman and diplomat whose character and career command deep respect, Mr. 𝐶𝐚𝐲 𝐓𝐡𝐫𝐞𝐞. Before I move on further, I would like to apologize to everyone present here because there has been a sudden change of chairperson for the session, and Mr. Geshe Yudung Trashi is no longer the chair for this session. It is Dato 𝐶𝐚𝐲 𝐓𝐡𝐫𝐞𝐞. Dato 𝐶𝐚𝐲 𝐓𝐡𝐫𝐞𝐞 is currently serving as the chairman of the Royal Privy Council since 2024. Dato has held high office of cabinet secretary, bringing decades of dedication to public service and governance. His leadership has contributed significantly to national policy and institutional development. Dato is also a seasoned diplomat, having represented Bhutan as ambassador to Thailand, Myanmar, Australia, and Singapore. In each of these roles, sorry for the inconvenience. Dato has also held high office of cabinet secretary, bringing decades of dedication to public service and governance. His leadership has contributed significantly to national policy and institutional development. Dato is also a seasoned diplomat, having represented Bhutan as ambassador to Thailand, Myanmar, Australia, and Singapore. In each of these roles, he fostered strong bilateral relationships, promoted mutual understanding, and upheld the highest standards of diplomacy. His intellectual and spiritual pursuits are equally distinguished, with a keen interest in world religion and interfaith dialogue, advocating for harmony, inner growth, and cross-cultural respect. Outside his professional life, he is known for his wide-ranging interest. He is an avid reader, a devoted listener of classical music, and a long-time practitioner of martial arts, embodying a balance of mind, spirit, and discipline. At 68 years old, Mr. Wang Di continues to inspire through both his public service and personal integrity. Please join me in welcoming a distinguished leader and lifelong learner, Dasu Kedzong Wang Di.
Good afternoon. I hope you can hear me. The acoustics are not that great. I thank the lady who's introduced. She's maybe she's related to me, and she's given me high praises. Please take 50% of what she said. Thank you very much this afternoon. I am honored to be here in front of you today to coordinate and amongst brilliant speakers. And as probably the chef for another half an hour, I'd like to provide a buffet of great thoughts on Sowa Rigpa. And as you all know, this is a tradition that has been living unbroken for the last 2,500 years, restoring imbalance and a science of healing, and nurturing, and growth. In Bhutan, if I were to add, and I see the former Minister of Foreign Affairs in front of me, he'll make sure that I'm honest. My enthusiasm to talk about Sowa Rigpa is only tempered by the fact that I'm speaking in front of luminaries, thought leaders, and experts like himself. In Bhutan, Sowa Rigpa has been, as I mentioned earlier a little while ago, unbroken in Bhutan also since the introduction of health, which is free in Bhutan, so also in education through a part of the benefits of gross national happiness, I would add. Sowa Rigpa is offered as an alternative care for every Bhutanese citizens or any international citizens also coming to visit a hospital in Bhutan. You can have a choice of offering of Sowa Rigpa and traditional medicine, allopathic medicine. Now I'm going to turn the page on. May I first clarify that just about 10 minutes ago, I've been volunteered into this high post, so I feel a little intimidated. So even if I don't sound intelligent, do clap in between so that everybody wakes up and I feel encouraged. Thank you. Two things I'm going to invoke, two deities. One is, of course, Kala Chakra, the Lord of the Time. And we need to be very careful with the time. I believe we have about half an hour, and we'll go with that. Second deity I'm going to invoke is Bodhisattva, the God of forgiveness, because I'm going to murder and massacre the names that I'm going to introduce. Three people on my right, three distinguished. So if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me in the invoking the blessings of Vajrasattva. In front of me, just on my right, Dr. Rodolfo Gonzalez Paz. Am I right with that? Please take a bow. He is an expert. His field is macromolecular engineer with honors in his final thesis on bone and his interactions. But his core interest is in molecular nanomedicines for medical applications, which have led him to be recognized in journals of high global impact, such as in the polymer chemistry. And he's currently conducting research in vegetable oils, proteins, biomass, and Tibetan medicines for the development and understanding of nanomedicine, biomedicine, and biomaterials for medical and environmental applications. What is he doing currently? Dr. Paz integrates Tibetan medical modern science principles with meditation, contemplation, and advanced breathing techniques to promote holistic well-being, and he received from different master lineages around the world. Journal of Pharmaceutical Research International, that's what is written there. He currently treats patients in various parts of the world, but especially in the American continent. Can I be your student, your patient also from, you only treat in America, what about in Asia? So that wraps up. I have a number of pages of his CV, but I know I am not doing justice to his very storied achievements in life. Next, I have Ms. Katrina Stanisavljevic. That's very good. Thank you. Thank you very much. She's a yoga and meditation instructor and mentor in the University of Chicago. Ms. Katrina is a graduate student in Buddhist studies at the University of Chicago with research interests and contemplative practice. And you are an expert in a very historical figure that I always am interested in the hagiography of 𝐻𝐸𝐻𝐸. Well done, which she examined in her presentation at the 2022 Vajrayana conference. Grounded in both textual study and lived experience, her work bridges the depth of Buddhist philosophy, healing, spiritual practice with over a decade of clinical practice in Zen Shatsu bodywork. Very interesting. I hope you'll tell us what you do, what you could do in Bhutan also or in the region. Therapy, and this is her experience. As a mentor in the University Office of Spiritual Life, she offers meditation guidance and life skills coaching to the campus community. She also teaches yoga in the historic Rockefeller Memorial Chapel, cultivating a space where scholarship meets embodied practice. Ms. Katrina has been invited to serve as the president of the Chicago Buddhist Association for 25-26, congratulations, and where she will guide a vibrant interdisciplinary community of practitioners and scholars devoted to the study and practice of Dharma. Finally, Ms. Inga Pogosian. Okay, thank you. She is a Sowa Rigpa Director, United Religions, and her expertise, forte, if I were to say, is understanding lung and channels for effective medicine, a Tibetan medical approach. Dr. Inga Pogosian, completing her studies at the Faculty of Tibetan Medicine at the Tibetan School of College of Michigan in 2019, and gained a bachelor's degree of Sowa Rigpa Medicine and Surgery. She has been practicing Tibetan medicine since then. She has done work connected to the Buddhist philosophy as well, translating the Buddhist texts for a Finnish organization. That's interesting how you are, deeply connected with the Finnish organization. Since 2020, she has worked as an assistant for the Buddhist Traditional Sangha for Russia, participating in Buddhist conferences as part of the Russian delegation. Great. Russia needs a lot of healing in that region, and I hope your medical intervention will contribute to bringing peace in that region, which we sorely lack in this day and time. She has written various articles in medicine in Russian language. In May 2025, her scholarly paper, Cultivating Compassion and Sustainability, Mindfulness, Tibetan Medicine, and the Plant-Based path in education, was selected for the United Nations Day of Visa Conference in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Aside from practicing medicine, she currently works in the Department of Asia and Far East at the Intergovernmental Organization United Religions. That brings to, I hope I've done some justice to their very storied achievements in life, and as they continue to do so. With that, have you volunteered? Who do you think we should speak first? Have you decided among yourself, or you positioned strategically next to the podium? All right, then may I request you to come to the podium, Dr. Paz, and amaze us.
Okay, good afternoon to everybody, and especially Tashi Dele for all of participants in here. I want to really say thank you to the organizers for this invitation, and especially to my teacher, Dr. Sherab Tenzin, to give me this opportunity to be here with you. So today we will have a presentation about Tibetan medicine, so 𝐷𝐸𝐴, and nanotechnology. So maybe for some of you, it is a very particular name, but we will get into in the simple way for everybody, okay? So as everybody know, in Vajrayana or in Tibetan medicine, we have this subtle anatomy. No, we have our channels, 72,000 channels, where the current, what we call 𝐸𝐴 in 𝐷𝐸𝐴, is flowing, no, through this, and that is to these channels. And maybe 20 years ago was impossible to measure this because the technology was not so sensitive to measure this subtle energy. But nowadays we have this technology, so why not try to prove it, not into the 𝐷𝐸𝐴 system. If you can see in the bottom, we have some scientific papers. They already prove that the meridians exist, no? But before, for scientists, they didn't believe because they cannot measure. So especially in here, I would like to talk about the two wars. You know, we have the allopathic medicine and we have the 𝐷𝐸𝐴 medicines. And always we need to take the best of each war, so to integrate. So that is what I'm always trying to say to my students. So in the allopathic medicine or in the West, we are more focusing in the chemical anatomy or to treat the symptom of the patient, no, using chemical mechanism, molecules. But in the 𝐷𝐸𝐴 system, we are more focusing in the energy level, and we are more focusing in the potency of the pills or potency of the food. No, everybody knows that the ginger, for example, is a hot potency food because when you take the ginger, then you feel your body became hot. So that is something that everybody can know. And another difference between West and East is in the West, okay, in allopathic medicine, we have technology, equipment that are very useful, not to know if you have high blood pressure or if you have like a sugar or cholesterol, you know, out of the level. Maybe in the 𝐷𝐸𝐴 system, we don't have that high technology, but we have a very deep experience, thousands of years. And we have a lot of combination of compounds to create medicines, not only with the drugs inside, but with a potency, that it is what we will be talking today. So in the allopathic medicine, we have very strong medicines to treat the symptom. Everybody, when have an emergency, is using because it's very good for stabilizing a person in emergency. In 𝐁-𝐷, we don't have this so strong and radical effect, but we have the way of restart the original function of that organ. So it is very important to know. So nowadays, even we can check, in Tibetan medicines about the components. And recently, well, almost more than 10 years ago in Brazil, one PhD thesis, they found that 70% of the drugs that we have in allopathic medicine, we have in the Tibetan pills. So it's amazing. We have same molecules. So the only difference is that in Tibetan medicine, we take care of balancing. We mix so well these compounds to avoid the side effects. But talking about the drugs that we have inside are the same. So it is so amazing, that we can see that. And nowadays, it is something that it is already proved. For example, these scientific papers from 2020, they already check exactly which drug is able to kill specific cancer cells in Tibetan pills. So it is something that, okay, we already know that it's working similar in the chemical level. And then we know another medicines very famous like 𝐂𝐚𝐲, especially for cancer, ovary cells. And then diabetes, for example, already proved that we have drugs that we can use for control diabetes too. Neuropsychiatric disorders, as you can see in this paper, they already proved that we can balance all these disorders in the body and the mind. Liver disease, many different liver diseases. So nowadays, scientifically talking, we can say that we have a very good components in the pills that are working in the same chemical level, or the same way than allopathic medicine, without the side effect. But the most interesting part for me, because it is not already studied, is about what we call potency in Tibetan medicine. Because I cannot say to my colleagues in the West, oh, this pill is hot. So they touch the pill and the pill is not hot. So they will say, what do you mean by hot? What do you mean by cold? So this is something that we need to get into, and it is very important. So the next that we found in the Tibetan pills is we have nano pills inside the pill. So if you can see in the picture, we have the macro scale. Everybody in here maybe already know about Tibetan pills, how it looks. But when you check in the microscope, very in the atom level, we have the same shape. And it is amazing because in the nature, when you look, for example, at cauliflower, if you see the tiny cauliflower inside, it's the same shape. And then it's coming from the micro to the macro with the same shape. So that means it's a harmony shape on. So this is something very important. So then we found that we have these nanoparticles. And nowadays, nanotechnology is very famous because it's not only about to have drug, it's how to deliver that drug into the body. And with the nanoparticles, you can deliver the drug crossing the cell and releasing the drug inside. So nowadays, people is talking about nanotechnology like something new, but in this Asian knowledge, we already have it, since 12th century, more or less. And so for us was wow, because in this level, the matter and the energy are together, one. In the nano level, the transition is constant. So it's a particle and it's an energy at the same time. So this is something that we just was wondering, maybe if we are able to isolate this nanoparticle and check the energy, we can correlate what we call hot or what we call cold or balanced potency. Because we need this bridge, we need this dictionary. When I'm coming here in Nepal or Bhutan, I can talk with Tibetan doctors in the same language because we have our 𝐶𝐷 terms. But when I'm going to the West, I cannot talk to them in the same terms. So we need to have a dictionary to talk about it, okay? So this is what we are trying to do in many different collaborations that we have in Europe and in Costa Rica, in Latin America, and in Nepal, in the Pure Vision Etheric Research Center. So in here, I just wanted to show you more or less difference between hot potency and cold potency regarding to the energy level. For example, if you can see there, hot potency has an energy of 22 millivolts. It's like an electrical discharge. So when you take the pill, it's not only the drugs that are coming in. You have an energy that is giving you a like electrical discharge in one direction. So if you see hot potency, it's 22, and when you see cold potency, it's 2. So it's a huge difference regarding to this energy that is discharging in our body. So in here, there are some difference about the morphology of these pills. And then when we go deep into, it is very important to know the composition. And in a simple way, for example, hot potency contain more oxygen, simple, and less carbon. And then cold potency contain more carbon, less oxygen. That means, because when we are preparing the pills, sometimes we have more fats, no? And the fats are more related to the carbon. So in the cold potency pills, we have more fatty compounds. So it is very important to, now in the West I can say, yeah, hot potency means that the pill contains more oxygen, for example. So that will give you a specific electrical or charge to that pill. And then in the right side, we just check about the surface potential, and all this is about the energy of the pill. And in the cold potency, if you see there are these blue arrows, these blue arrows mean that the fat is on the outside of the pill. And that is very good, because that helps, for example, to cross cell membrane, because it's fatty too. So there are difference, a huge difference regarding to the scientific point of view. And especially my college from the Max Planck Institute in Germany, they got so impressed. They say, wow, Rodolfo, we found that a small pill and big pill, they have the same potential. And for scientific point of view, it is not sense. From our 𝐶𝐲 must be like that. Doesn't matter if it's small or big, the potency must be the same. So this means that we need still to keep going into understanding from the scientific point of view. As a 𝐶𝐲 doctor, we don't need to understand anything. We know it is working very well. But in the West, always we are wondering to learn about this Asian knowledge and to bring into the society that, because we have a lot of knowledge inside the 𝐶𝐲 that we still don't know how it's works. You know? Okay, so finally what we did, a very interesting test. In Switzerland, they have an equipment that can stimulate your body with electromagnetic fields. And you buy this equipment, it's very small. With one app, you can stimulate your cells, liver cells, by electromagnetic field. So we was just wondering if Tibetan medicine really have a potency regarding to our energy, able to stimulate our body. So if we send an electromagnetic field, this energy must change. So it's a proof that effectively we have that energy in there, okay? So as you can see, down from 21, change to 33, and 1 to 44, so that means some energy changing, so the molecules are just reorganizing that energy. And with the cells, we just prove the same. The cells really like Tibetan pills, and when we stimulate it, the results for the muscles regeneration is so amazing. Okay, so well, this is my last slide. So in here is Dr. Sherab Tenzin, Pema Bhuti, and some external therapists from Bhutan. And in the right, Dr. Lindsay, and down myself and some people in Nepal. And one student recently for Dr. Snida, he came to Costa Rica to do his thesis. And well, so nowadays we are looking for collaboration. So if you know anybody working in the neuroscience, so now we just want to put these nanoparticles isolated in the mouth and look what happened in the brain. Look if this energy in the body is moving. We already proved that the pills has the potentiality to do it. The next step is to test it with the alive, person and see what's happening in the brain when we put under the tongue. So high practitioners, they try only 3 drops and they feel how the loom stabilize in 5 minutes, when these isolated nano pills. It's like pills, but very small, and when you take it's faster going into the body. So we want to try what happened. So anyhow, thank you very much for your attention, and any question.
Thank you, Dr. Paz, for that fascinating journey into 𝐶 And I thought there were 3 important takeaways as far as I saw. One is the congruence of allopathic medicine and 𝐶, especially as you went down into molecular and nano level. And I was fascinated by your presentation and position that at the nano level, matter and energy are interchangeable, and that's where the effect of medicine takes place. It brings to my mind what Einstein has been talking about that. That's why I think he was very fascinated with Buddhism. So very, very interesting. And also, I think your takeaway was that the science of medicine in both streams are merging, and they have the effect at the cellular level, similar effect. And I'm also taken aback by the point you made that there is the big medicine, small medicine. When it comes to the actual effect, it has the same effect. Thank you very much. I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I think we can take a vote. You want to direct the question now, or we'll do it at the end of the presentation? At the end. We have our mentors there. We'll follow your regulations strictly. Thank you very much. So that brings me to Dr. Katrina. Could you, tell us what you have to offer the audience as to the relations of yoga, meditation, and your experience in the University of Chicago? Thank you very much. We are doing good time-wise, okay? Past Secretariat, time. Okay. We got endorsement. The floor is yours.
Hello, Kuzuzampola, Tashidele. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'd like to first start by just offering my deep gratitude to the Center for Bhutan Studies for organizing this amazing conference that allows us to come together to share our knowledge, to share our wisdom, our concerns, conversations, and dialogue for the betterment of our futures together. And especially thank you to the royal family, without whom none of this would be possible. I'd like to first also clarify I'm not a doctor yet, maybe someday, but I have been in practice clinically through Zen Shiatsu, which is based in Chinese medicine, and more recently have turned towards studying Tibetan medicine as well. My work at the University of Chicago is as a graduate student and researcher right now, where I teach yoga and meditation to the student body. I'd like to share with you a bit of my work in the 5 elements, how I've used it clinically in practice, and some of my imaginings about how we might be able to apply it to a variety of fields. And so for social emotional development in particular. So what are the 5 elements? We'll start here. They're the phenomena of changing energetic dynamics that we can see, touch, taste, smell, experience with all of our senses, that manifest as the relative balance of health and well-being. They're the fundamental expression of nature and phases of change. They are the space, which is sometimes considered not an element, but a non-element, emptiness, openness, air, fire, water, earth. And we'll just take a walk through each of the elements. So space, as I mentioned, is this quality of openness, stillness. It allows us for growth. It allows the capacity for all of creation to arise, everything to become visible and manifest, all that is latent and unseen. From that, we have we'll go from the most solid, most external, you can say, which is earth, the form, solidity. Earth allows us to experience this sense of nourishment, sustainability, stability across time and space. It gives us our sense of appetite, digestion, mud, which is also maybe a combination of earth and water, density, and a sense of groundedness. And so this is also just to give you a sense of how these elements manifest from perhaps the most visible external to the subtlest back to space. So from earth we have water, which is a sense of fluidity, moisture, flexibility, allowing us to flow, go with the flow of life, softness. It's beyond time, so there's a sense of atemporality, cooling, and emotional awareness or emotional intelligence. And I share with you all of these just to kind of familiarize and maybe remind us what each of these elements are, and also in my work to promote a sense of elemental literacy, so we all might be able to speak this language together. And continuing on to fire. Fire provides heat, light, warmth, the sun, illumination, the spirit, you can say, transformation, the way that fire cooks food, cooks us, purifies us. And then we have air, which is movement, wind, lung. The breath, respiration, the nervous system provides us inspiration in life, sense of spreading, of moving across, and rapidity, rapidness. So these are the 5 elements of 𝐶𝐚𝐲, as it's described in Tibetan. So we start with the development of the body, the human body. We all have been born, unless anybody here is unborn. So the embryo develops completely dependent on all of these elements. So I just illustrate this here, a little excerpt from the medical tantras, the explanatory tantra, to show how really our human body is completely reliant on these elements. So it's really important, I think, for us to understand how we develop as human beings. Without earth, we would not have form. Without water, there would not be a sense of cohesion. Without fire, the fetus couldn't mature or develop. Without air, there'd be no growth. Without space, there'd be no room for development. So this is really important. This is how we are able to arise here in our human body. And then that brings us to the body and sensory formation, another short excerpt from the explanatory tantra. The consciousness of being gives rise to the sensory consciousness. The functional properties of the elements of earth forms the flesh, bone, nose, sense of smell. Water forms blood, the tongue, the sense of taste, and the body fluids. Fire provides heat, determines the complexion, forms of the eyes and visual sense. Air is responsible for breathing. We've been doing so much wonderful practice with the breath, and formation of the skin and the sense of touch. And space forms the various channels in the body through which the lung, the breath moves through these channels, as well as the ear and sense of hearing. And so we start at the body, and then we move through some of the subtler aspects of how these elements manifest, body and mind being as one. So through that, the elements manifest as our mental consciousness, which comes with emotion. We are human beings, and emotion is the innate expression of the various forms of consciousness. So I really just distilled a bit of these into the elements themselves, what's considered an afflictive emotion, and then the wisdom nature of each emotion. I illustrate this here primarily because we can get stuck with the experience of these energies, these primordial elements, without really understanding the wisdom nature of them. I don't think I'm alone in saying that I've been through all of these, and I advocate for being able to just turn our mind a little bit more to recognize when an afflictive emotion arises, if there's an experience of just even a subtle separation or a subtle gap there, then through that we, instead of experiencing the suffering of that emotion, we may be able to experience the wisdom of that emotion in the moment. So this is something that I'd like to practice more with, and practice with students and clients who I've worked with. So we'll just go through each one of these a little bit, one by one, to understand them and illustrate how they express through us. So through space, this is a fundamental emptiness, right? And through that, we have the first basic experience of suffering is ignorance. But the other side of that is all-pervasive wisdom. And this is the all-pervasive wisdom that is everywhere at all times. It is all-knowing, all-spacious, and complete presence, presence of awareness. It has total inclusion of all things, all-encompassing and non-conceptual. And then from space arises air, where we may experience a sense of jealousy, or from that separation, competitiveness or comparison, even on the extreme paranoia and so forth. But turning that, just a slight turn into the wisdom nature of this emotion, is all-accomplishing wisdom, which allows for enlightened activity to manifest, the spontaneous, efficient action that swiftly compels us towards growth and towards completion. The other side of the element of fire, of the passion that involves our experiences of grasping or clinging, attachment, even on extremes level, patterns of addiction, or just inability to let go. We have discriminating awareness. So discriminating awareness meaning this sharp sense of discernment, of balance, really understanding what is right from wrong, what is true from maybe illusory or false or misleading in some way. Being able to have also a sense of interpersonal warmth, something that I associate with what is called 𝐶𝐲, the sense of loving kindness, of warm-heartedness that arises from understanding our deep interconnectedness. And so from that we have water. And from water, the affliction there is aggression or anger. Maybe sometimes this experience, the lack of water, being hot-headedness, right? If there's like that, or an aversion towards things that we don't like. But the wisdom nature of water is mirror-like wisdom. So if we imagine a still pond or a still lake, it reflects everything. It reflects all of the phenomena beyond it, beyond any dualistic perception. But there's a complete mirror-like quality, pure reflectivity that allows us to not only see what may be on the surface, but also to see to the depths, knowing ourselves and our experience deeply. From earth, we have pride. This may also express as greed or wanting more. Sometimes this duality of a superiority complex or an inferiority, things like this. But the other side of this is equanimity, which we've heard a little bit about earlier today. Equanimity, the wisdom of sameness, seeing that undifferentiated space that perceives commonality, and also on the ordinary level allows us to feel a sense of abundance, of groundedness, and the ability to feel generosity. So from here, I'd like to just share this excerpt from Bhutan's very own Tenle Norbu Rinpoche, this one book, Magic Dance, who I've gathered a lot of inspiration from. Tenle Norbu Rinpoche describes a breathing exercise that can be done here to transform our elemental constituents from the gross elements that may be contaminated or impure into purifying them into their pure, subtle elemental expression. So he says that the inner yoga breathing exercises use the 5 elements inherent within air, purifying the gross elements into the naturally subtle elements, and then into the secret essence of the elements. A yogi can purify his impure, stale air elements by visualizing and inhaling pure, fresh, yellow earth air. He can purify his impure, heavy water air elements by visualizing and inhaling pure, white water air. He can purify his impure, smoky fire air elements by visualizing and inhaling pure, red fire air. He can purify his unclear wind air elements by visualizing and inhaling pure green wind air. He can purify his impure dullness space elements by visualizing light, untouchable form and inhaling pure, clear blue space air. So with a practice like this, of course, you need a teacher to guide you. But what I'm seeing here is the potential for and also a universal practice that can be done just through simple breathing and our mental transformation of each of these elements. So I'll just continue to my last slide here. Potential applications for wellness and mental health. Meditations for self-care, as simple as meditating with the sound of the rain, the sound of the stream, perhaps feeling the wind on the skin, feeling the solidity of the ground, just like this for a day-to-day well-being and balance, that if we take all the way to the end of the road can also lead to liberation once we've received teachings for that. So there's a vast potential there, as well as nature-based learning. This allows us for cognitive flexibility in education. The way that I see this, especially in early childhood education, we want to be able to familiarize children with their own body's interconnectedness with the environment, with ecology, with their entire world. So exposing them to the elements through play, through imagination, through working with, the soil, the sand, all of the elements within nature externally, but then also for any age range, being able to recognize if we are studying something, anything, it can be Buddhist philosophy, it could be a language, it could be mathematics, science. If we find that we're getting stuck in a certain fixation, a certain conceptualization that stalls or delays our learning, we might be able to ask some new questions. Maybe we can ask, how would water approach this problem or this challenge? How might fire experience this situation? And it can be anything. So from there, we also have opportunities for nature connection, for ecological awareness. This will be especially important for us as stewards of this earth that is in a time of real crisis. Empathy for nature, empathy for our environment, so that we can actually feel that we are one with this planet. And then furthermore, therapeutic interventions, as I've practiced in the clinical setting, I think this can also very easily be applied to work in psychology as well. We can talk more about that. Please come see me. And then finally, creative expression through the arts, the symbolic meaning of each of the elements, the archetypes, identity markers, and metaphors that allow us to explore our human experience. And then finally, preparation for death. As we know, there are specific practices for the dissolution of the elements. This can also be translated into hospice care for those that are any religious practice. The elements are universal. There's wonderful teachings within the Buddha Dharma that can allow us to understand and work with them better, but since we have bodies, we have this environment that we live in, we can also work with that and support those who are transitioning beyond this lifetime. So thank you so much for your time and attention here. Thank you. please reach out with any questions or collaborations.
Thank you, Ms. Katrina, for that sojourn into the basics of your presentation. You talked about the elements in embryology. What fascinates us is each cells that we have is from the cosmos. So are we extraterrestrial? That's the question that I'm going to ask next time. I'm very particularly amazed by the fact that you talked about the elements, the space, air, fire, water, earth, etc. There's both an affliction and there is a wisdom there. So how do we transmit affliction into wisdom? How do you transmit that? So there's a potential in all the elements of the bad and the good, as with anything in life. And you went at length about the potential applications of the wellness. We can postpone the preparations for passing away for a while just now. Perhaps there'll be some questions on that. On that note, I think you are doing very well in terms of time. Probably just about 19 minutes to go. We will be very, very good audiences. You've been a great audience here, and we leave some questions. Perhaps this brings us to our last speaker for this afternoon, Ms. Inga Pogosin. She is a Sowa Rigpa doctor at the United Religions. We're very excited to hear what you have to say. And then after you finish your presentation, I would like to leave about, we said 15 minutes, but at least 10 minutes for question answer. That'll be very fascinating. So probably both Dr. Inga and myself, we need to manage the next 20 minutes very consciously. Thank you very much. You have the floor.
Gusuzambola. I would like to extend my deep gratitude to Central Monastic Body, and Dasho Karma Ura and CBS. Thank you very much for organizing this amazing conference and inviting all of us. And before I start my presentation, I would like to offer my prayer to Medicine Buddha. Tugjukun la nyombe chomdende, sensam te bingin do dunyasel, tuksum nesel sange mengila, benduria la chaktsalo. That down beckons the rather samunga de soha. So, as a medical practitioner, I would say that I have two principles which I always follow when I treat patients. First is not to harm, and second is to help. So I consider meditation practice to be also a remedy. It's a remedy for our minds. So it also should follow same principles, not to harm and to help. And to be able to follow those principles, we need to understand what is our body and what is our mind. So meditation is widely recognized for its benefits. Yet the subtle bodily mechanisms influencing different states of mind are not well understood. Tibetan medicine offers a unique perspective on the mind-body connection through the concepts of lung. So we will talk about lung later. It's a subtle energy, often translated as wind, and channels. Insights from Tibetan medicine regarding lung and its circulation are often overlooked in mainstream meditation practices and research, potentially limiting the full benefits of meditation. So to dive deeper into understanding lung and channels, first let's go into foundation of existence, which are the 5 elements. Tibetan medicine believes in a fundamental interconnectedness between the human body and natural world, based on the theory of the 5 elements. As was spoken, everything is made of 5 elements, which is called Junwa Ngai in Tibetan. They are earth, water, fire, air, and space. Sachu Melung Namka. These elements are the foundation of existence and development. Nothing can exist without their interplay. Each element contributes specific functional properties and forms particular aspects of the body. The 5 elements come together to form physiological and psychological forces within the body, known as the 3 nyepas. In Tibetan, it's nyepa sum. In Sanskrit, it's 3 dosha. But I will not translate nyepa into English because English words cannot really convey the meaning of nyepa. But I will explain a little more about nyepas further. So 3 nyepas are, in Tibetan we call them lung, chipa, and beken. In Sanskrit, it's vata, pitta, and kapha. So what is lung? Lung is formed by the air element. It's associated with movement, circulation, and the nervous system. It's often translated as wind, but I'll keep it as lung. Chipa arises from the fire element. It governs digestion, metabolism, and body heat. It's translated as bile, but also this translation doesn't really justify what chipa is. Beken is a combination of earth and water elements. It's responsible for structural integrity, lubrication, and stability. It's translated as phlegm, but I would also like to keep Tibetan term, beken. When these 3 nyepas are balanced, when they're in equilibrium, nyepas ensure health and vitality. When their balance is disrupted, they can lead to dysfunction and disease. So here, the nyepas are really important to understand, to be able to understand the mind-body connection according to Tibetan medicine and Buddhist philosophy too. So the term nyepa means fault, bad, or wise, because it stems from its origin in the 3 poisons, or tuksum, 3 poisons of mind, which are attachment, anger, and ignorance. So these 3 poisons give rise to 3 nyepas. Lung arises from attachment, chipa arises from anger, and beken arises from ignorance. While these 3 nyepas are essential for bodily function, without them we cannot really sustain our body, we cannot exist. But their inherent potential for imbalance justifies their classification as faults, because they can harm our body. Because 3 nyepas are the causes of all the diseases in the bodies. So because I think that this is a really crucial point to understand, I decided to bring a quote from Yushi from the chapter on anatomy to understand what is the mechanisms of nyepas being formed in our body. So it happens during embryological development, during the 6th week, from the navel or umbilical cord, because in Tibetan we say teva. From the navel, 3 formation channels branch out. One channel ascends upwards, and it forms the brain. Ignorance resides in the brain. So in the brain, beken arises from that ignorance. One channel penetrates to the center of the body, and it forms the life channel. Sometimes it's translated as aorta, but I would just keep it as life channel, or sokcha in Tibetan. Anger or aversion resides in reliance upon the life channel and blood. So from this, chipa is generated, and it resides in the middle part of the body. And the last channel, the 3rd channel, penetrates downwards. It forms the secret or sexual organs. Attachment or desire resides in the secret organs of male and female. From this, lung is generated, and lung resides in the lower part of the body. Lung is characterized by 6 primary qualities. It's roughness, lightness, coolness, thinness, mobility, and firmness. It is responsible for respiration, blood circulation, limb and joint movement, nerve impulses, and all mental activities, thoughts, emotions, consciousness. It governs breath intake, heart beating, intestinal peristalsis, sensory information flow, muscle contractions, and overall, all the movement in the body. All the movement is, lung is responsible for all the movement. Balanced lung supports clarity of thoughts, mental agility, and emotional equilibrium. And imbalance or disturbed lung is a primary cause of numerous physical and mental disorders. So here I would like to bring an analogy of lung being a horse, mind being a rider, to understand how deeply connected lung and mind are. Both in Tibetan medicine and Tibetan Buddhism, it is believed that lung is the vehicle of the mind. Just as the rider goes wherever their horse takes them, the mind is influenced by the movement and state of lung. If the horse lung is tamed, the rider mind will have a smooth right flow. Mind cannot function without lung, so they are never separated. So there are the 5 main types of lung, the 5 principal types of lung. Life-sustaining lung, or Sogdzin lung, is located in the crown chakra, throat, and chest. It is root of all lungs. Functions include swallowing, respiration, expelling saliva, sneezing, burping, sharpening mind and senses, and influencing mental activity. It is associated with movement of consciousness in the central channel. We will talk about channels down. Ascending lung, or 𝐾𝐚𝐲 lung, located in the chest, moving through nose, tongue, and larynx, facilitates speech, promotes strength, complexion, vitality, and memory. Pervasive lung, or 𝐶𝐴 lung, it predominantly resides in the heart, moves throughout the entire body, governs gross motor movements such as walking, stretching, eye opening, closing, and so on. Fire accompanying lung, or 𝐴𝐴𝐻 lung, resides in the stomach and internal organs, aids digestion, nutrient absorption, and maturation of bodily constituents. Descending lung, or 𝐴𝐿 lung, is located in the rectum. It's moving through lower abdomen and pelvic region, controls release and retention of sperm, menstrual blood, feces, urine, and fetus. As we experienced in the meditation sessions, our meditation masters were talking about these 5 types of lungs and how to use them in the meditation, so I thought it would be interesting for you to know a little more. So what are impacts of lung imbalances on meditation? Imbalances in the 5 primary types of lung manifest as distinct obstacles, significantly limiting the meditative process. So if life-sustaining lung is disturbed, it will cause anxiety, chest constriction, shortness of breath, mental agitation, difficulty settling into stillness. If ascending lung is disturbed, it will cause decrease in upward directed thoughts, worry, difficulty grounding, hindering stable meditative focus. If pervasive lung is disturbed, it would cause heaviness, lethargy, mental dullness, drowsiness, lack of clarity, diminished insight. If fire accompanying lung is disturbed, it will cause the mind to be constantly in motion. It will create scattered thoughts, inability to maintain focus, and mental restlessness. Descending lung, when disturbed, causes general energetic and mental instability, restlessness, difficulty feeling grounded, wandering mind, physical discomfort in lower abdomen. So imagine when you have all these disbalances, how can you meditate? How can you really bring your mind to the point when you can concentrate? So it's very important to understand if you have lung disbalances to try and address them. The significance of a balanced lung for both physical and mental well-being cannot be overstated. For individuals engaged in meditation practices, achieving and maintaining a balanced lung is particularly vital before progressing to deeper stages of practice or even retreats. A practitioner whose lung is disturbed won't be able to achieve good results in meditation, and in some cases will worsen the lung imbalances and get mental and physical health issues. So sometimes it can be really dangerous for people who have lung imbalances to meditate. It can create lots of mental problems. So the second topic is channels, and it's really fascinating actually. Channels, or 𝐶, which is root of life and pathways of energy. Channels, or 𝐶 in Tibetan, are intricate networks of conduits throughout the body that serve as pathways for lung, blood, and other subtle energies. They are the energetic infrastructure supporting all physiological and psychological functions. The Tibetan term 𝐶 is very interesting. It has so many meanings, including vein, artery, nerve, and channel. It can also be understood as root, 𝐶awa in Tibetan, highlighting its fundamental importance as being the root of the body. Here, I wanted to illustrate this. So to illustrate this, one can draw an analogy to a tree originating from a seed. The root provides sustenance and gives rise to all other parts of the tree. Similarly, the human body arises from the bindu, Tibetan tigleya or essence. This seed gives rise to the subtle channels, which function as the root from which the entire physical structure develops. And I would like to quote from the 4 medical tantras. The outer and inner orifices through which lung and blood flow make connections for the body to grow and exist. Because of being the root of life, they are called 𝐶, which can be translated as channels or root. So there are 3 principal channels, Uma, Roma, and 𝐾𝐻. Uma is the central channel, is the most vital channel, and it's a singular hollow channel running vertically along the spinal column from crown to perineum. It is the central axis for the flow of consciousness and subtle energies, primary for spiritual realization. Roma, the right channel, corresponds to the right side of the body. It's associated with solar energy, heat, activity, outward expression, and masculine principles. 𝐾𝐻, the left channel, corresponds to the left side of the body, associated with lunar energy, coolness, receptivity, inward reflection, and feminine principles. These 3 channels are interconnected with countless smaller channels, forming a vast network that distributes lung and vital energies. When channels are blocked, constricted, or imbalanced, lung circulation is obstructed. This leads to physical discomfort, mental agitation, restlessness, and difficulty settling. So, because we don't have much time, okay, I will just finish my presentation saying that in Tibetan medicine, we have the 4-fold approach to healing, to balancing lung and opening the channels through diet, lifestyle, medicine, and external therapies. And I can share my presentation with anyone who wants to know more. And in conclusion, there is a profound connection between Tibetan medical understanding of lung and channels and the efficacy of meditation practices. Balanced lung dynamics are crucial for mental clarity, focus, and emotional stability, which are cornerstones of effective meditation. Meditation is a practice where you train your mind. Therefore, before doing it, you should study both the mind and body, so you have enough knowledge to avoid situations which can disturb both mental and physical health. Understanding lung and channels through the ancient knowledge offered by Tibetan medicine can help improve your meditation practice and avoid any unnecessary complications. So to be mindful and not a mindful, educate yourself and then meditate. So I would like to offer the merits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Inga, for this, for a very amazing look into medicine from your perspective. The 3 nyepas, doshas, lung, tepa, and botkan, lung and horse, the mind riding the lung, amazing imagery. You talked of the channels, the root of life, and the pathway of energy. Very nice explanation of the lung in a very demystified manner. And also the importance of balancing lung through meditation. And you've nicely captured that whole thing is about an integrated approach to well-being. And I appreciate the prayers that you offered, especially to Medicine Buddha by Shiji Guru and the ending prayers. I think that takes us about 11 minutes. I would like to open the floor for questions and answers. And please identify yourself, and whom would you like to direct the question? I think that'll be useful. The floor is yours. Otherwise, I'll volunteer some audience members. Yes, Doctor.
I'm
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
I want to direct my question to Rodolfo very briefly. This is a very, very brilliant paper because no one that I've ever met has yet been able to determine scientifically the hot and cold categories. And this is really quite extraordinary. You know, in Hildegard's system in the Middle Ages in the 12th century, she also has these categories along with dry and wet, humid, and Chinese medicine also. So have you thought about extending this research to the other medical systems, traditional medical systems? I think it would be of great value. Thank you.
Hello. Yes. So if I understand well your question, if I had been talking with another doctors from another system as Chinese medicine or Ayurveda medicine about this, okay. So at the moment, no. This research is quite fresh, I can say. So I couldn't have that opportunity to share with another doctors from another system, but you are totally right. It is the same, hot and cold. It is in the Asian traditional system. So thank you very much for your question and for your words.
Thank you, Tashola. Two-part question. One is, when you talk about the micro level, this bodily embedding the 4 elements or 5 elements, how do you then link it back to, because it's almost, I think, when you define some of the quantum theories also, I think Professor Sean Correll says that your life is made up of 3.5 billion heartbeats, which is, I think, primarily the lung and everything that you mentioned up there. So does that focus take you away from some of the more spiritual and more cosmological argument in the Buddhist tradition? And number 2, what kind of pushback are you all facing from the conventional medical practices? I'm sure there'll be a lot of medical councils who would be objecting to the practices as not being conventional and scientific enough.
Okay. So let me see if I get your 2 questions. So first question is about if this the energy that we are measuring, it is related to, for example, the heartbeat and all this. I'm right? This is your first question? Okay, so I can say this is more in the subtle level, because our heartbeat and in our body we have, I can say, voltage that are quite high as our nervous system. That is something I can say pretty old that we already know. But this is more subtle level, more energy that in the past we would not be able to measurement, because nowadays we have nanosensors. That means we can measure nanovolts. 20 years ago or 25, not possible. So that's why it's a little bit different on that. But it will be great if I can meet another scientist that is measuring at that subtle level the currents in our channels, that there are some papers about that. to integrate, no? To see with the pills what happened with that subtle energy. That is more subtle than our heartbeat and are more related with the neopas, no? With our this subtle anatomy that recently our college just explained. So the second question, sorry? Opposition. Yeah. You're totally right. In the West, it's not so easy to get people that can support, because it's pretty new for them, this, and in the past, because they will not be able to measure. They say it doesn't exist, so they touch us, like it's not, it's a fake, or it is not scientifically proven. So, but nowadays I'm trying to push a little bit, and I'm in Europe, so they are collaborating, and hopefully here in Asia we can create this framework, in the government level. I just recently signed between Europe and Costa Rica a framework agreement to study these things in the government level. Hopefully we can do the same in here.
So my question's for Inga. Before I retired, I had a Chinese medicine practice. I practiced Chinese medicine herbally as an acupuncturist. So you put a whole lot of symptoms and a whole lot about energy and Sa on the board. But how, when someone comes to see you and says, I don't feel good about this, or I don't feel good about that, or my mind is restless, or I'm having emotional problems, or I'm just having headaches or chest pain, or what's your process of diagnosis?
So I follow traditional Tibetan medicine. So first of all, what I do, I check the pulse. I check the urine. I always ask the patients to bring the urine with them, the morning urine. And if they forget, then of course it's not great, but I can still go through, check the pulse. And then we ask questions and we look at people, We even, when the patient comes inside, we see the way the patient walks in, the way the patient speaks, the way all the behavior, there are many things which can help us understand what's going inside the body. Then we also touch the body, we try to go through different points and see if there is any pain, especially in the abdominal area, if there is any stiffness. So we have this approach in diagnosis, because Tibetan medicine doesn't use X-rays or ultrasound, but we have our own ways of understanding what's going inside the body through the subtle energies. So that's how we do it. Thank you.
Great answer. Thank you very much. I recognize the young lady there.
My question is also for Inga. You explained about these 5 kinds of lung, and then also you mentioned about, emphasize about the getting balance of this lung. There is a practice such as Chalung, and also a very well-known this non-purification breath. But as from the Sowarikpa perspective, if you have any suggestion to have a more common way to get a balance for 5 lung, if you can tell us, and especially for the academics, most of them have super high lung. So if you have any suggestion for people, yes, please.
Yes, sure. Actually, I had those slides where I explained that, but didn't have enough time. So we balance lung through, there is threefold healing system, okay? First, it's diet, then it's medicine, then it's lifestyle, then it's medicine, and then external therapies. So when we talk about diet, we should consider having warm foods, not cold foods. I mean, there is a lot to talk about, but the food should be like more moist, not dry, not processed foods which are empty energy, because lung doesn't like that. We need to give nourishment. So also hydration is very important. And for people with lung imbalances, it's really dangerous to do prolonged fasting. It can increase lung. So when we talk about lifestyle, the most important thing for lung is sleep. If you don't get enough sleep, it will be very difficult to manage your lung. So sleep is important. Then exercises such as stretching, yoga, walking, being in nature, because it can manage the stress, being around trees, greenery, that can really help. Then when we talk about medicine, we have a lot of different herbal remedies for lung. There can be like singular compounds, like ginger, asafoetida, like warming herbs. And then there can be like complex compounds. But the best is to go to the Tibetan doctor so he can prescribe. Because self-treatment is never a really good idea. And then the external therapies include many different things. But one good thing which anybody could do is massage, like a gentle oil massage could really help balance lung. And then we do also moxibustion, which is heating specific points in the body. We can do also hot oil compresses. And cupping also can be good sometimes to open up some channels so lung can flow better. And there are other things we do, but it's really short. Yes, so if you have any Tibetan doctor or any traditional doctor actually, because I think Chinese doctors, Ayurvedic doctors could really help. So you can just go to doctor and see what doctor suggests according to your own specific problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we're in the last minute. I see here leading psychiatrist Dr. Sencho, and I see a young lady there. After that, 2 questions. I think that'll do for this afternoon.
So,
go ahead.
Mine is more of a comment than a question. How many allopathic Bhutanese doctors in the room? I see 1 here. 2. How many Trongsos, Amjis, and traditional doctors from Bhutan? None of them. 1, maybe. I want to just announce that tomorrow, if you're going to Punakha for a field trip, all hospitals in Bhutan have allopathic and Sowa doctors working side by side from the same hospital and giving free services. And if you get a chance, you should visit Punakha Hospital. Is one of those typical district hospitals where you see the traditional and allopathic doctor practicing side by side. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
All right. I'm getting flashing red on the... Maybe a quick question, or you're going to say it's time to go?
No, it's a very quick question.
Okay.
This question is for Katarina, if I may. Based in part on something we discussed last night, when you were talking about the 5-element meditations, you mentioned, of course, how important it is when we get into more advanced meditations to have a teacher, because, of course, many of these practices are secret. We also know...
I think you can come over.
We also know that there's a lot of potential benefit to this. What, if you could propose just your own idea, is a way to balance...
Thank you. Sharing potential benefit of these knowledge with maintaining the necessary secrecies that come with things that are based on medical tantras. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your question. Okay, very briefly, I understand there are specific teachings that have to do with the elements, and I would not advocate doing those without the appropriate teachings and empowerments as stated within the texts themselves. But there are, in the training that I've received, there are ways to work with the elements. For example, even just imagining that you're floating down a river and you're connecting with the essence of the water element is a very simple way, just through imaginative processes, feeling like like your body is dissolving into the ground to reinvigorate the earth element is an example of another process that I've used in therapeutic settings with the clients that I've worked with that has that kind of beneficial effect for balancing and harmonizing the elements. So that's just one simple example.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We are in the last 15 seconds. What remains for me is, I'm sure I'm echoing the sentiments of this excellent audience, to excellent speakers, Dr. Rodolfo, Dr. Katrina, and Dr. Inga, for your most fascinating holding our hands into the journey into the world of medicine. May I request all of you to join me in giving them a resounding. Katishe.
Now that we have come to the end of this session, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dasho Kezang Wangde for stepping in on such a short notice and ensuring that everything proceeded successfully. And I also have two announcements for the participants out here. First, there will be a photo session tomorrow during the lunch break, so I would like to request you all to be present there and take a moment to capture this beautiful gathering and moment for this conference. And secondly, as you all must be aware, there is a conference at YDF Hall at Thimphu, here only, at YDF Hall. So I would like to request every one of you to be present there and enjoy and celebrate with us. And also to all the speakers for being a wonderful presenter. And there is also tea and snacks ready for you as you go downstairs. Help yourselves with it. Thank you, one and all.